Hi there, and welcome to the first week of Shocker Strong Resilience. If you're watching this, you received a link through your Blackboard to participate in this program, and we are so happy to have you. To start out, we'll do some introductions. My name's Tara Hanna, and I am a coordinator with the University Care Team. My students are anyone who lives in on-campus housing, and my office is located in Shocker Hall if anybody ever wants to follow up with me individually. And I'm just right behind the front desk. So a little bit today, since this is the first time we've ever done this online, it's going to look a little bit different, and we're all in this together, and we're going to just move through it as best we can. You guys don't have to go around a room and introduce yourselves to everyone, and I don't have to stand in front of you and pretend not to be awkward, and nobody has to wear real pants if they don't want to. So there are some benefits. Our topic today for week 1 is friendships, and we're talking about 2 parts of friendships. So that is making new friends, which can always be a challenge when you enter a new phase of your life or a new environment, and then maintaining connections with old friends, which can also be a challenge when you're entering a new phase of your life, and how doing both of those things can keep us healthier, happier, and more resilient. So research tells us that each person only needs 3 good friends to be healthy. And when it comes to those friends, it is quality over quantity every single time. So someone who has 50 not close friends, but acquaintances or people they just see for fun or whatever, is not any more socially, emotionally healthy than someone who just has that small circle of 3 or 4 really close friends that they actually share a deeper relationship with. If you guys would look at the first activity that is in Blackboard, we're going to do a little exercise. I apologize, but if you printed or saved those activities in advance of today, those are not the accurate materials. We did a last minute switcheroo, so the new stuff is up on Blackboard right now. So your first question or activity that you'll see talks about the rules, the universal rules of friendship, and being willing to be open and vulnerable with friends. So if you guys can find that question and take a moment to read that over, I am going to put a little ticker up at the bottom of our screens for some care team information for you. Right, there we go. So if everyone's had a chance to find it, it's all about listening to your friends, giving them your attention, your real attention, really listening. And if someone's not familiar with what active listening is, that is the type of listening where you are not thinking about what you're going to say, and you are not thinking about your opinion or judgment or ideas or anything like that of what your friend is saying. You're not problem solving it. You are having a blank mind and focusing only on what they are telling you and what they're feeling behind it, what they're meaning behind it. You're giving small feedback symbols that say, yes, I am listening to you, but you are not interrupting or interjecting your own stories or advice. So some of those small feedback things are things like smiling, nodding, saying, mm-hmm, or yeah, I hear you, right, things like that. And that lets them know you're engaged and you are actively listening and that you're not distracted. So when it comes to the universal rules of friendship, the 3 main ones that are mentioned in the exercise that we are going to focus on are keeping secrets, loyalty, and being at least as generous with your friends as they are with you. So equal generosity. And I want you guys to take a really quick, because there's only 3 of them, little self-inventory about where you are strong in those universal rules and where you could use some improvement. And your worksheet, be it digital or printed, if you did it in the last hour, should have little boxes, kind of like a graph table, for you to check if you're strong in that area or if you need improvement. And then for each of those, there's some follow-up questions. And you don't have to write them down. If you don't want to, you can post your answers in the comments if you want to, or you can keep them to yourselves. That's, up to you. Everybody has a different level of comfort with engagement, especially online and possibly with strangers. There will be discussion posts posted after this video that relate to the follow-up you'll do over the next week with these activities. And those discussion posts are how we know you've actively engaged in this lesson for us to count those towards the 8 of 11 if you are interested in winning one of those $500 scholarships or one of the 11 swag bags, basically. So for those of you, someone asked, what is it called? Well, the document, when you open it up, it says Shocker Strong Resilience Program at the top with our title, Making New Friends and Strengthening Your Connections with Old Ones. You can find it under course sections, week 1, and then week 1 exercises. That should open it up for you. Okay, and it will be the second week 1. Exercise where you can submit your answers and upload it there for the Shocker Strong drawings, but then also participation in the discussion posts. So it looks like the file we have up is still the old questions. So we'll just do this verbally. All right, so the questions were what areas are you strong in and which need improvement? I'll be posting that in the comments. Your 3 areas are keeping secrets, meaning keeping your friends' secrets when they tell you something in confidence, not keeping the type of secrets that can get someone hurt. If you ever are told a secret that results or could result in harm to your friend or to somebody else, that's not a secret we keep. That's a secret that we tell the proper authorities about, whether it be someone from care team, someone at UPD, somebody at CAPS. Those are the things that we want to help before anyone gets hurt. We're talking about the type of secrets where they confide in you that they're struggling with something or they want to change their major, but they're afraid their family is going to be disappointed. So that type of secrets. Then the next one is being loyal. So are you loyal to your friends? Do you support them? Do you have their back? Or when you're with another set of friends and they maybe don't like a certain friend of yours, do you stay silent? Or do you join in trash talking with them, hiding the other friendship? And then the last one is equal generosity. I will repeat the thing about the scholarships at the end, but you do have a chance to win book scholarships through completing a certain number of these online sessions and their exercises. So when you look at those 3 universal rules, which one are your strengths? Which ones need improvement? And for those that need improvement, what's standing in your way? What might make it difficult for you to improve on those? And the example of being loyal and having 2 different sets of friends who may not like each other, or one person in each group may not like someone, is you're staying silent instead of standing up for one friend because you don't like confrontation, because you're a shy person, because you're afraid of losing one friend or the other. Really explore those barriers and find out what would help you overcome those. Because we all want to be a good friend. We all want to try to be a better friend. So someone asked if these questions are on Blackboard, and yes, you cannot find them right now. They will be. I will put them in a discussion post. I didn't want anyone working ahead, so I won't post those until after. All right, so in looking at those, what are your barriers and what can help you overcome them? Is it gaining more self-confidence in confrontation? Is it mentally noting when a friend has shared something with you that it's not necessarily that you owe them anything, but like the next time that they need something, are you going to be equally as generous? No one likes to be the sole giver or taker in a friendship. It's not equal, it's not balanced. And at some point, it doesn't become a friendship, it becomes something else. So, in terms of keeping secrets, that's a really deep one you'd want to dive into in terms of why you have a hard time keeping someone else's secrets. Is it because you like to gossip and you never keep anybody else's secrets? And is that because you like feeling like you have information that nobody else has and that you have a sense of mastery or importance? Or is it that when somebody shares something, you're like, oh, if I tell someone, it's not that big of a deal, it's nothing to be embarrassed about? But maybe it is for your friend. We never know what motivates somebody else to want something to be kept a secret, but it's important to respect that if they're your friend and they're telling you something in confidence. So really think about the answers to that question of why. Is this something I need to improve on? And what's keeping me from being better at it? And then over the next week, practice the things that you need to practice on in order to become a better friend. And that's one of the things we talk a little bit about as homework for these over the next week that you can submit on Blackboard and answer in discussion posts. So I'll let you know beforehand, hey, this is homework. But that's one. If you've got barriers to becoming a better friend, try to explore those this week and try to practice doing better at that. So I am going to play you guys a TED Talk over friendship. And if you cannot see what I am posting here, if for some reason it's not working for you, the direct link to the TED Talk is in the week 1 course section for this on Blackboard. I think it's the 3rd or 4th item posted. So I will get that started for you guys and then can have a discussion afterwards. All right. Oh, Lord. Okay. So it looks like some people got disconnected for the TED Talk. Oh, and somebody else can hear the sound. Well, I apologize for that. I couldn't check. If you guys need to find that, again, it's under your course sections, week one, and it's the fourth item down, listed as the essential truths of friendship. So, in talking about making new friends, which is always the challenge in a new life stage, she in her talk referenced how in kindergarten it's really easy to walk up to someone and say, "Do you want to be my friend?" But it gets really awkward and weird when you get older. And that's what happened to my friend Abby and I at WSU when we were both back home for just one semester from the colleges outside of Wichita that we chose to go to for undergraduate studies. And we ended up one day after class walking to our cars together and talking about the class we were in. And she turns, looked to me and said, "My mom says I need to make more friends." And I turned and looked at her and said, "Mine too." And we went and got coffee and we became friends. And she was the maid of honor in my wedding. And we worked together and we ended up both living in the same city as adults for a while. And it's just those kind of chances that you need to take in order to have the spark that uh, once they miss the beginning of the story. So I was saying that my friend Abby and I met at WSU in our freshman year. The one semester we both came back to Wichita to go to school from the universities we left Wichita to go to for undergraduate. And we just became friends because we happened to walk to the parking lot together one day. And she said her mom told her she needed to make more friends. And I said mine did too. And we went and got a cup of coffee, and the rest is history. And that was a big step because I knew from discussions in class that we clicked. But how do you say, "Do you want to be my friend," to someone when you're 20 years old instead of 5? And she took the initiative that I couldn't. So that risk paid off. And that's, I think, where a lot of college students are risk averse when it comes to making new friends when you get into a new environment. Is you're taking a risk of putting yourself out there, just like if you're trying to find someone new to date, that you will be rejected or they may not like you or you guys won't click. But without taking that risk, we'll never have reward either from finding new friends. My other close friend, Amy, actually ended up being my freshman year college roommate. And we got little letters in the mail beforehand, and we talked to each other on the phone. And I made a lot of assumptions about her based on the geographic area of where she lived in Kansas before coming to college. And I don't know if she made any assumptions about me. We've never actually talked about it. And it was a little awkward that first year, the first semester especially. And then some sort of thing clicked when we were both back the next year. And we had different roommates that we both just really did not like. And we would still get together every Wednesday, Thursday night, something, and watch Gilmore Girls. And then we ended up living together our next year, which was my last year. And she was the matron of honor in my wedding years later. And I never would have thought in a million years that's what would have happened, because my thought when we moved in together freshman year was, the letter says your roommate will probably end up being your best friend for life, but I don't believe that. And I was really skeptical, and I was really, really wrong. So taking those risks and getting the rewards are the important thing. And making new friends in an age of COVID is a little bit more difficult because people aren't really going to bars and clubs, and social gatherings are limited. and sports events aren't a thing right now, somewhat, kind of, sort of, and we're all just kind of figuring it out. So meeting new friends can be a bit of a challenge in these times, but WSU is trying to do a lot to help keep students connected and still have things where students can get together. This is one of them, because I see there's a lot of chat going on back and forth, and the discussion board that's already going is phenomenal. Before we even started, it was outstanding. So shout out to Timothy for acknowledging that and saying week 1 and you guys are already talking to strangers and figuring things out. That was super. So thank you so much. And I really want to see that grow as we go forward. But Care Team's offering different events, universities too, where students can get together and kind of meet one another. Shockers After Dark is tomorrow night from 6 to 8 p.m., and that's a really great opportunity. The Self-Care Sunday events that we host at Shocker Hall on Sundays for housing students is another great option. And then if you go to student involvement's calendar of events, you can check out all sorts of things. Same with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. They have a lot of things going on too to help students feel connected and get that sense of community that's really important, especially to students who are entering a new environment. So that covers the making new friends portion. It's going to be awkward. Take the risk, see what happens. Now, strengthening connections with old friends. That can be a challenge if you've moved away from them. My best friend since 2nd grade, thought we were going to be friends forever. We'd be in each other's weddings, all of that stuff. We went to different colleges and we kind of kept in touch a little bit. And then we lost touch after my 1st or 2nd year of graduate school. And even though we were friends on Facebook, we never talked. And it was about 5 years later that I just see randomly on Facebook that she got married. And I was like, oh, okay, then I know this now because of Facebook. And that was that break from a friendship that started when we were 8 years old. And it was something that 10, 15, 18-year-old me would not have expected. And it's not to say that that happens all the time, but it happens pretty frequently. So if you do lose connection with an old friend and you guys grow apart, it's pretty natural for that to happen, especially if you hit, after this, different life stages differently at different times. But if you've got those friends that you know and you've got that bond and you want to strengthen that connection and make sure you keep that, be it over distance, or maybe you're both at WSU, but you aren't roommates, or your class schedules are so different that you never see each other and hardly have a time to talk, then those relationships need some extra attention. So I will post this again in the discussion, but here's what I'm talking about, things to think about for those old connections that we're trying to strengthen. So it's making time. And that can be so, so hard in college, especially when you have a crazy schedule, especially if you're working and going to school, or if you're a parent who's a student. But it's making time and showing interest in what's important to them. And one way to do that is by creating an intentional space and time to spend with them. So again, in the age of COVID, this isn't as easy as it used to be. So you can still schedule a time to go to the gym, at the gym together, but it's going to look a little bit different now. Same with scheduling time to get a cup of coffee. If you both live on campus and you both have dining hall plans, that can make it a little bit easier. And if you guys are separated by distance, then maybe it's something virtual. I know everybody is sick to death of Zoom, but using another format like Facebook, or any other app that you're comfortable with can be a way to do that. But in those intentional meetings, that space and time that you create to connect with one another, it's not just enough. So that extra attention comes from thinking about those friends deeply and what you can do to further your understanding of them and your friendship. and maybe identify some things that might change because of this new stage in your guys' lives. So I will put the questions I'm about to ask in the comments, which are things to think about, and then they will be in discussion posts as something to engage in with one another. But the first one is to make a list. I always like to start with lists. They're awesome. So make a list of your friends, your close friends. And these are your long-term friends, the old ones we're talking about strengthening your connection with. Make a list. And once you've made that list, each friend's name, write the thing that initially drew you to them. So maybe it was something they were wearing you liked or you had in common, or that showed you had a common interest. Maybe it was something they said in class that really connected with you and your values and beliefs. I know with my friend Abby that we connected on that walk to the parking lot. We were in feminist film theory together, which is a pretty niche class to be taking. So you know that with a group that small, you've already got some stuff in common with them. And that was a nice little starting point because we were talking about the film we just watched and the exercise we did, and applying film theory to it. And that was a nice little starting point that we've had to kind of jump things off. That was ours. But we also had backpacks that we had personally customized and decorated individually that kind of spoke to one another, and that kind of thing. So what initially drew you to them? It doesn't have to be something really deep and meaningful. It could just be something small that you saw in passing. The next thing is for each of those friends is to write about an especially good time in your friendship. So what was the time that was really good for you guys, where you really were connected and you knew that you had one another's back and that this was a good, solid friendship? It could have been a fun time. It could have been a meaningful time. One for me with that friend from second grade that I'm not friends with anymore because we grew apart was our senior year of high school. We were both super, super stressed out about finals. And, uh, we went to the park just to like hang out, chill out, and swing. Like, we were kids again and we were carefree. And after that, we sat on a bench and she just kind of laid her head on my shoulder and I laid my head on her head and we just kind of like breathed like a relaxation that it was going to be okay. We'll get through this. It's just a couple more days. But that was a really meaningful time to us because it was wordless, but we still were able to connect and empathize with each other in it. But again, it could be something fun too. Next one is a little bit less fun. Each friend. Remember a time that friend disappointed you. But that's not all. And try to really think and consider why they acted the way they did that disappointed you. What could have been a motivation? People are, especially in friendships and good, strong friendships, they're really, if ever, jerks just for the sake of it. A lot of times there's something else motivating a behavior. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's embarrassment, maybe they're just overwhelmed and they made a mistake. Who knows? But try to consider the motivation behind their action that disappointed you. All right, and this video will be available afterwards on YouTube too, if you need to go back and review anything. And when you come up with that explanation or that consideration from their point of view, also make sure it's a generous explanation, meaning you're giving them a little bit of grace. So if they showed up late to an event that was really important to you, what's the grace that you could give them? What is the understanding and consideration you could give them from their side of it? That you weren't important enough for them to show up on time, or that something else is more important, or you lost track of time because you were selfishly not thinking about my important event that I've asked you to come to for months, or were they at a job interview that went long? It's different for everyone. So that's a more in-depth exercise that can really help you explore and give you some more depth. And then the last one is for each friend to write about your shared values and goals. So when we talk about values, of course, talking about things like family, faith, education, um, mostly those intangible things that you put a lot of value in. Truth, honesty, loyalty, um, accomplishment, different things like that. What are the values and then the goals that you and your friends have in common? Do you both have a goal of completing a 4-year degree? Do you both have a goal of going to graduate school or not? Do you both have a goal, a life goal that's completely unrelated to school, like opening your own business or traveling for a year after you graduate or whatever the case? Do you guys share those? And exploring those values and goals and how that connects you, why you think that is. Maybe experience is a value that you both have, and the goal of traveling is a way to get that experience. So, those are some of the questions that can help you explore and strengthen your uh, connections with your older friends. So, we've got about 18 minutes left, and I know someone asked me to repeat the scholarship info. So we'll do that, which is that by participating in the Shocker Strong Resilience program and completing 8 out of the 11 modules, which there's 11 weeks of these every Thursday at 3:30, and the accompanying activities that are in Blackboard and submitting them and participating in the discussion posts afterwards, you'll enter a drawing to win one of 2 $500 book scholarships to be used at the Shocker store for your textbooks for spring 2021. So that's that one. That's the book scholarship. The other is that the other drawing we're doing is for one of 11 Shocker swag bags that's filled with tons of Shocker stuff and gear. And there's 11 of those that you'll also be entered in a drawing for if you complete 8 out of the 11 modules for this. They do not have to be consecutive modules. You don't have to do like 1 through 8 or 2 through 10, whatever the case. But any 8 will do. Now, there is a time limit, and that's listed on the last item posted in your week 1 course section is the exercise submission area, and it'll have a date on there that they have to be submitted by, and it's, I believe, by midnight on December 4th, so the last day of courses, which is about a week or 2 after we finish this series, because we finish this right before Thanksgiving break. So you've got time to work with. Now, the other thing is that the other 2 care team coordinators, Ashlyn and Vaughn, will be holding recaps of the sessions I do on Thursday the following Tuesday. They will be having those recap sessions, and there's information about that on Blackboard, and they'll be the same method through live streaming. And they'll kind of go over some of the main points that we discussed on Thursday, and also the homework assignments and what people kind of came up with or might be struggling with, or just a reminder like, hey, if you want to bring this up in discussion in the little recap portion of next Thursday, let's talk about it now. So they will provide that opportunity for you guys too. So another little thing that I want you guys to think about that will be a discussion post, but it has to be after you've done some of the things we've talked about today, is how those things then affected your friendships if you tried them out and if you implemented them with your friends. So we always want to put into practice what we've learned. And it's a lot easier said than done. And that's okay. It's supposed to be difficult because you're learning a new skill. I really appreciate everyone today sticking through some of our technological difficulties. Like I said, this is the first time that we've done this all online instead of in person. So it looks super different. And we're figuring out all the kinks with doing it through Blackboard. Someone just asked, how do you know if we've done 8 parts? And that's where you submit the answers to one of the exercises through Blackboard. So if you go again to course sections and go to week 1, the 5th item, the last item on the list, is week 1 exercises. And if you click on that, that's where you will submit. They're only required for the participants who want to be entered for those drawings. You can attach files or you can just write your submission in there. It's up to you, and you can submit it. And I will post an announcement after we're done here that has the guidelines for those in them as we're figuring out the best ways to all of this. And you are welcome. I will be checking these weekly. So if there's questions in the discussion board, or if you want to email me directly at tara.hanna@wichita.edu, feel free to do so. If you, the versions of the documents in Blackboard are PDFs. So if you want a Word copy that you can type in and submit in that form instead of just in its own blank Word document, if that's something you like to do, I can send those to you. And if you think of the question later today that you didn't think of while we were here, just go ahead and send me an email. I'm on campus Wednesdays and Thursdays, so typically this live stream will be happening from my office. Today was an exception. And like I said, my office is in Shocker Hall behind the front desk. So if you want to pop by after a session and have a discussion, if there was something personal that came up for you that you wanted to discuss from that day's topic, I'm available for that too. So I thank you guys for coming today and for being brave and trying this out and for rolling through, like I said, the technical difficulties with us. And I will see you guys next Thursday at 3:30, and check the announcements and the discussion board for posts that I'll make with instructions for homework submission if you want to be entered in the drawings, and the expectations for participation in the 8 out of 11 modules. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care and have a great day.